Hello, friends. It's my proud privilege to be in conversation with none other than architect Balkrishan Vittaldas Doshi, a true icon of creativity. A man who has not only created history for India, but is the pride of this country for bringing accolades to it in the international arena. The first Indian to receive the prestigious Pritzker Prize in Architecture in 2018. He has also won the Aga Khan Award, the Padma Shri, the Padma Bhushan, and so many more. Mr. Doshi's work is the story of his life, a life which is a symphony of a man with nature. A very warm welcome to you, sir. My first question to you is that, we all plan our lives. A lot of people plan their businesses. They are talking about a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan. And then something like a pandemic happens. They said man proposes, but God disposes. And all of that just goes for a toss. But when we see your life, sir, it's a series of things that are just happened. There were probably not so much of planning that went into it, yet you have lived a fairy tale life. How has
Yes.
it all happened?
Well, life has to be lived, not thought of. As it comes, you take it. If you are in a garden, you enjoy the garden. And if you are in a slum area, then you wonder about what happens to those people. Or if you are in a traffic jam, you look around and see how people behave. So if you get involved with whatever instant you are in, I think life goes on. There is no way you can plan a life. Life demonstrates what life is. And in that demonstration, you rejoice.
So how did you
So-
rejoice from being a student, going to college in Mumbai and then landing up in London, and then everything seems to be happening?
I have learned
Yes,
to
by
accept
providence.
things. No, acceptance. One thing I learned was acceptance. And then you thank God, you thank God that you are still alive. And I think that is the wonder that I have been doing. You go through everything as, every day there is a night and there is a day. Every day there will be something that you may not like. But I don't know how, but perhaps it is a God's gift that I have accepted everything that comes. Crisis always will come. I mean, if there is a day and a beautiful sun, the next day there is a storm. Now, don't we know that? So why should we not enjoy that storm? So that I try. Actually, I also don't know. But I try to rejoice, wonder, and thank. Because there is some message in it. And that message is very beautiful because it takes you somewhere else. वो पैसे देके फिल्म देखने जाना अच्छा है या दुनिया देखनी अच्छी है बताओ? तो मैं दुनिया देखता हूँ.
So आप जब दुनिया देखते हैं, you said if you want to succeed in life at one place you have mentioned, become like a gardener.
I don't think that word succeed was in another context. But the rejoice is the one word more important. Succeed to theek hai because success has failures. So the best way is to not even think about success or failure. Take it as it comes. In my life, in my grandfather's house, in the evening, the light would be on and then the door will be slightly closed, not fully closed. It would be slightly open. So I had asked him when I was young, "Kyun karte ho aisa?" They said, "You never know who is going to enter now. Maybe Goddess Lakshmi comes, maybe a guest comes in the form, maybe as a guest, but you never know." So deep inside, I know that everybody that I meet there is some message.
Right. You lived in a small house, you said, with your grandfather.
Yes.
This is a question has been asking me for a very long time. Living in a small street,
No,
living in
it
an
was not
extended
a it
family.
was not a small house. It was a house of many rooms, but we were many people. We were many. Three uncles, three aunts, their families, visits coming in. Every time when there is a lunch or anything, the grandchildren would be there, cousins would be there, parents would be there. And you never know, there will be 5 or 10 or 15. And I think my grandmother never complained. We always, that is a tradition of India. Tradition of India is accept situation because there is some message which we have not so far had. And that message is that saying that, well, look, this too is a wonder. And I think when you look at the forest, when you look at the trees, when you look at the plants, the same message comes. And so you wonder. So actually, if I look back, deep inside, I have a inbuilt sense of wonder. Anxieties are there, but immediately thereafter, that sense of wonder comes. And I smile.
And that wonder affects your work. How has it impacted you as an architect?
It gives me a chance to do something else. The wonder has a message. I have a lot of guides, in the heaven. And they come back and they tell me, ye mat karo, ye karo. Ye try to karo.
Acha.
Ah.
So challenges is something that you are very well known of. You are
I have
a person.
accepted them as not challenges, as opportunities.
Okay.
And so those opportunities have a message. And that message has something to learn for me.
How do you recognize these opportunities?
Otherwise, why should they come? This meeting of ours is an opportunity, isn't it? It depends upon how you see. If it is a problem, if it is a doubt, don't doubt, don't doubt. वो तुम्हारी तकदीर जो है वो रहने दो. I was brought into a very traditional family. तो उसमें नसीब का भलियारी बहुत होती है. नसीब, कहीं भी जाओ, तकदीर देखो. जो होने वाला है होगा, शायद नहीं होगा. मुश्किलें तो बहुत आती है. मगर वो देखने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. Don't fight, accept it and wonder about it.
Wow, beautifully put. So in the current scenario, sir, how do we look at this opportunity, at this situation? How do we look at this as something that we can reinvent ourselves with?
It is, it is totally different, very unusual. Sometimes you also wonder. But then you come back and say, Shayad, I'm not in the same place. It's a question of mindset.
Okay.
If you think, that you are in a foreign land, what would happen? Very often one travels. I used to travel extensively while teaching in USA. Late nights, early mornings, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Kuch nahi hai. You look forward to that kind of an event, and then I will know that there will be doubts, feeling rather uneasy, but then you will say, you sit in the plane and you wonder and you say, maybe you don't know. But that don't know has many ways to look at it, no? मेरा नाम बाल कृष्ण है, कृष्ण नहीं है.
Okay. Lovely. Can't get better. What a beautiful way to put it. So, you spent so much time, you went to France, and I read that you lived on olives and bread, and it with very little, and probably not even a salary when you were working with the great Mr. Corbusier. That itself.
Yes, but why should one think about the situation? That is what I don't understand. I went to Corbusier, I accepted that he will not pay me the salary. And then I had very little money. So the only thing was every day there was another assistant draftsman and he was Greek. So we both used to go out and go buy olives, cheese, and then have some coffee or I would have tea. And then we never thought about it, that why am I not getting this or not getting this? I thought it is good enough. The sense of contentment is your choice. The sense of grace to understand that this also you should thank.
So that is where your
See,
patience.
my grandfather lost his one eye because of the coal when he was a child. And I always remember that story. So I always asked him about that eye. He says, कभी कभी हो जाता है, एक तो है ना, तो फिर क्या सवाल रहा? नहीं है ये बात ही नहीं है, कुछ तो है, कुछ तो है.
Gratitude, that is really the mantra. To be happy with what we have.
Yes.
Satisfaction. It's just so important, but no.
There is in our religion, every morning you must pray the Lord and thank Him. That idea, live gracefully, be gentle, and merge like the water in the river.
Wow, how beautiful. Deviating a little bit, sir, there, I see that, as a designer, I'm always told it's important to focus on your craft. But by nature, I just feel like painting all the time, doing things, even this interview, doing multiple things. Is it okay to be having diverse interests, or is it important?
What is wrong? That is what you are supposed to be doing and excelling.
Okay.
Otherwise, you would have been doing like any laborer, doing your work on a computer or a laptop or some other weaving or tailoring, and that would have been your life. So why don't you think, like that, but you think otherwise that, well, I think I have a chance to do other things also. If you look around the world, you will find that you are very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So every time there is a problem, look around and reflect.
And
you could be one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
That's
of
all.
course. One feels extremely privileged to get and be what we are, but it's just so strange that because of the current situation,
You are not privileged. You are what you are supposed to get.
Okay.
Privilege is not there. That comparison is not there. That's your state of mind. That's your condition.
So you think being in a positive frame of mind?
नहीं, एक बात मैं कह रहा हूँ, परमानेंट.
या बताइए.
कभी कंपैरिजन मत करो. कभी किसी को कोई भी पोजीशन में, यूनिक पोजीशन में मत रखो. वो भी है, ये भी अच्छा है, वो भी अच्छा है. हर एक चीज अलग है. I used to go with my children to the zoo. And I saw so many animals and birds and reptiles and everything else. And I have never forgotten those days. I rejoiced them so much because I wonder how they lived, how they flew, how they went down, how they crawled. And each one has their own nature and they were all rejoicing. So this question is not there. It is only once in a while I also feel, that ये क्या हो रहा है. But otherwise I come back and नहीं, वो भी उसमें क्या है, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. There's always something new.
But how important is to have that patience? Because everybody today wants instant gratification, instant fame, instant everything, like instant coffee. But where's
But
that?
do you want it? Do you want it like that? Why are you talking about everybody? Why are we not talking about only two of us at the moment?
Okay.
So if you want to have coffee, you have coffee. If you don't have, you can have water, or you can have any other drink. So comparison nikal do.
Okay. So it's my life, so my choices, and I make myself who I am, and it's all in my hands.
वो choice भी नहीं है, gift है.
Okay. How beautifully put. Okay. So to recognize those gifts itself is an art, sir. How does one recognize?
By becoming yourself little humble.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You travel everywhere, you see people, so you look at them and then you see yourself how lucky you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Beautiful. So going back into your...
I remember I was with my partner Stein sitting in the car in Bombay, and suddenly near the airport we saw one boy running, but he only had one leg.
Okay.
And we were talking about everything. So Stein is showing me. He says, have you seen? Look. And how rejoiced and how wonderful he is dancing and going. And he disappeared. So you at least have one, but rejoice.
But you know, one important thing I remember you mentioning is that even in Mahabharata, the main, the whole story is about, you know, the basic human character where everybody is envious of everybody else. People want to be like the other. How do we deal with that?
But why think about people? Why not think about those, you know, who have done something? I always remember Maharati, Karna. And his
Okay.
last stage, you know, when he was dying, and then, you know, Indra comes in the form of a Brahmin and says, you know, that now I have come here. So Indra can, Karna has to give him something.
Okay.
So he wonders, he's in the pain, and then finally he remembers that he had one tooth in his mouth, the golden tooth. So he says, I have nothing. So he points out that tooth. He says, would you take this? Because he has to give something. So Indra says, no, I cannot take it because it is already eaten by, you have eaten food. So it's not clean, pure. So he looks, you know, again, and his eyes, he cries. And the water from his eyes come and clean the tooth. And he says, you take it. So there was no argument, no discussions, no questions. We purposefully want to become unhappy because we are trained to compare others with you. But if you thought that you are what you are, and that's your destiny, rejoice it.
How do I figure out what is my happiness quotient?
No, don't think now. You are happy. At the moment, are you happy or not happy? So
Reeled
what
up
is
on
that
top of the
question?
world.
Is it 10% or 20, 100%? I mean, what are we talking?
I find I'm telling you there are people, and the issue is here. When you look around, even
Don't
after...
look around. Don't look around. Look within.
Okay, so we individually...
Look and listen to your heart.
Okay.
Listen to the sensations of joy. Listen to the, here, get the fragrance, you know, from the outside. If the eyes are there, look at the beautiful clouds. If your legs are there and if you are barefoot without any shoes or anything, look at how beautiful the earth is, you know, and then maybe there is a pebble which punches you. Then you take the pebble and look at the size there.
Okay, okay, wow.
So I think it is all attitude. It's all living yourself. Be yourself first. Don't be with the world.
So being yourself, your attitude, tell me how has it created a project like, say, Gufa with Mr. M.F.
I
Hussain?
did for myself.
How? What was going on in your head?
No, I had a challenge to my friend. We were close friends, and I gave a challenge to him. And I said, you will not be able to paint, you will not be able to do what you are doing, you cannot do this. तो बोलता है तो फिर क्या होगा? मैंने कहा देखो तो सही. So it was a challenge to him, but it was a greater challenge to myself to do what I had never done before, or I would never do it again. So like a child, I did, you know, and experimented, and everybody wondered, and I also wondered, and then it went on. And for those 6 months or year and a half, I did this, and I did that cobra there, you know, the black cobra is there, you know, on the top. And so while I was doing it, I was thinking about Hussein. And first of all, I thought I'll write a epic, some kind of what you call myth. And I thought, the myth must be that the tree was there and I was dreaming about it and the branch fell off down below. And then suddenly I saw one branch of the neem tree. I don't know how it happened. So I picked it up and then I went into trance. And I went into trance and so deep down inside, and then the myth happened
Okay.
of the kurma, and then those kurma, is the tortoise, they were below ground and they were waiting to rise up, and they were waiting for the signals. And then I wrote this story myself, which I did not think about. And then I think about my trip to Italy and other places. And I remember how Borromini did fantasies, how Paul Palladio did something else. So because to do fantasy, you have to get into trance in your deeper sense. And there is no way unless it is a myth that you don't believe.
And there
And
was never
then you
an
start writing, you write an automatic writing, and then your inner self pours out. And then I wrote the myth, and then that myth was repeated in that kurma and the gufa and the cobra.
Wow, beautiful. Before we move on, let us look at the Ahmedabadni Gufa that we were just talking about, where he was in a complete trance, and it was an extension of him writing a myth which was translated into reality. A beautiful example demonstrating a collaboration between an artist and an architect. An underground gallery housing the works of artist M.F. Hussain, Mr. Doshi's design was inspired by the discussions between him and the artist, and 30 years before the project actually occurred. In designing the landscape and entrance, the architect connects the building to the extended world. The form and space of Gufa animate the mysteries of light and memories. Challenges between an artist and an architect give birth to the most unexpected. Searching the uncommon meant raising fundamental questions. What is the meaning of function, space, and technology? Amidst structure and form. Is that how even Sangat has the similar reflections of
Yes.
every nook and
Yes,
corner? I
yes.
see there's something new, there's something to wonder, something
Yes.
strange.
I don't work with anybody at that moment. That moment is only my moment of working because other person will not understand. So I work. And then I get so excited that I am not worried about it. Evening happened, next day again I'm ready to go.
And you're convinced
You
that it's
must
going to work.
rejoice. See, the whole idea is there is something called discovery of the unknown, which is dying dormant in you, waiting for you to pick it up. Like a two-day-old child, become tender and hold it in your hands, and you will change yourself. It's not unusual. We have become too old to become children.
But you've lived an unusual life. How many people can imagine living a life like yours? Behaving like a
I
child,
don't know.
convinced every moment, having the conviction that whatever you are doing is a path towards your creativity. How does it work in your head?
No, it doesn't work. I have no head. I have no thought. मैं तो नशे में हूं ना, मैं तो कुछ नहीं हूं, बस अहम निकाल दो.
Oh my God.
मैं नहीं हूं. मैं एक छोटी बच्ची हूं, 10 दिन की. तो मेरी दुनिया कैसी होगी? Before I ask the next question to Mr. Doshi, let me tell my friends watching this program that when Mr. Vikram Sarabhai approached Mr. Doshi to do this project of the Indian Institute of Ahmedabad, it was Mr. Doshi who believed that Louis Kahn would be able to envision a new modern school for India's best and the brightest. Khan was completely fascinated with India
as a country, and he happily undertook the project. That too, without any fee or any agreement of any sort. Kant's inquisitive and even critical view at the methods of the educational system influenced his design to no longer singularly focus on the classroom as the center of academic thought. The classroom was just the formal setting for the beginning of the learning. The hallways and Kant's plaza became new centers for learning. Together, Mr. B.V. Doshi's unconventional approach to architecture and Kant's rethinking of the traditional principles of India's educational system, along with a group of ambitious industrialists, helped create one of the most sought after, influential, and elite business schools in the world.
Vikram Sarabhai wanted me to do the best project. And I thought the best person should get it and not necessarily me. And if I get a chance with somebody that I admire. So I said, why don't we call him? And he says, who is he? I said, he is one of the greatest architects of USA. I mean, history. So, and I offered him the job and he was also shocked that how come I'm not doing it? I said, no, I want you to do. So I'll enjoy it. So I became a partner to him, assistant to him, or collaborator to him. And every time he would come, a couple of times a year, he would be here and he would arrive in the morning. And those 4 days to 6 days, I would not be at home. I would rejoice his company because I like.
And how did you convince him to do the work with no fees, no agreement, nothing? How did it happen?
Because he loved, I don't know, maybe he was surprised that I was giving him the job. And then it was also an opportunity because Corbusier had done buildings here and he had admired Corbusier. So it is like, mutually, if you like, suppose you have a close friend and suddenly the friend tells you even now that you have to go to Alaska and meet him, you will find a way to go, whether it is a pandemic or not. What does it matter? You will find a way.
Right.
So the question is, unless you get lost, the destiny will not find you.
Before I ask the next question to Dr. Doshi, let us see some of the premier institutions like IIM Bangalore, SET University Ahmedabad, and the Institute of Indology designed by him. In each project, the architect explores the relationships between the fundamental needs of human life, connectivity to self and culture, and respect for social traditions, with a response that is grounded in context and exhibiting a localized, modernist approach. He describes architecture as an extension of the body and his ability to attentively address function while regarding climate, landscape, and urbanization. This is also demonstrated through his choice of materials, overlapping spaces, and utilization of natural and harmonizing elements. You said Corbusier was like a guru and Louis Kahn is like a yogi, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Please say a little more about them.
Well, Corbusier had a very disciplined life. He never came to the office before 2 o'clock, all throughout his career. He never came to the office on Saturdays, Sundays. So if you saw, he hardly worked like that, but he painted and he worked and he thought. And somehow when I joined him after a few months, I think we became not close, but he was happy with what I was doing. But eventually, when I decided to come back here to India, he offered me, he wrote to Baba saying that whatever job you're going to give me, Dr. Baba, Homi Baba, give it to Doshi. Mm-hmm. So why should he offer me work? I think because I had surrendered him to him. I always surrender. And I don't think, that I have a purpose and I have a position and I have something to do. None of these things deep inside, no. Mm-hmm. And if you love, why put a price on it?
Wow.
When you go to, when you go to the temple, when I go to the temple, I don't even have to put something there because I touch. That's the end of the story. But I can also take a price, 5 rupee note, a 500 rupee note, and put it there. Why? Why don't we why not think? India talks about surrender from inside, not politically surrender. Surrender is to give yourself. There is a story of Guru Nanak, that he was not like this, but then he was sitting in the shop. That's what I gather. And he was asked to give somebody this rice and whatnot. So, देता है 10 या 11, 12 और 13 जब आया तो उसने दिया 13. That was the time he changed himself. Suddenly that word struck him. मेरा कुछ नहीं है, सब कुछ तेरा है.
Such a beautiful thought. You're like a yogi yourself. How did you call Louis Kahn a yogi?
Yes, he is a yogi. He is my guru. मैं तो उसका छोटा disciple हूँ. Nobody can draw like him. Nobody can sketch like him. Nobody can think like him. They are different. They are to me my gurus. No, for nobody else. I don't know anybody else. So I have my own personal relations with myself. And deep inside, they stay there as they are. There is no tag.
Aren't we so driven with what's expected from us, from the society, what
No.
people
Why?
want? clients
Society
want?
is also me, no? Am I not society? So I do what I should do. ये तो ड्रम लेके तो बजाना हम सबको बताने की बात तो है नहीं ना.
Right.
मैं मकान बनाता हूँ क्लाइंट के लिए, but that client is me only. Because I want to enjoy fully that game for that 1 year or 2 years or 5 years. It is his money, but I am using it.
And you're having fun with it.
If I am having a fragrance from a flower, I am enjoying it. You may not even think about that fragrance. So the point is, why can't we all the time become aware about the joy that is available around?
Talking about the joy, you have to share interesting story. You mentioned about this friend who was getting married and you wanted to give him a gift of a staircase. It was a very
Yes.
unusual staircase that you were trying to build.
Yes.
Since you're saying you have fun with it.
It is Harshvardhan.
Oh, story.
No, that because I said I will do for you a staircase and I will see that it is not supported on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I dug his living room by almost 40 centimeters and I suspended from his balcony a staircase which gradually came down and not touched the water. The last step was a couple of centimeters away. And then it was a challenge to me, to the engineer, to everybody, but it happened. And it would move slightly. The whole thing was moving.
Okay.
And slightly moving like this. And in order to show you that it is not connected, I put some stone pieces there at the level of the water. So if the water goes down, you know what it is. And it was just broken recently, but otherwise it was a fantastic staircase.
Okay.
Now, why was it that? Because I thought everybody talks about staircase from ground up. I said, I will do a staircase which is coming from top down and doesn't touch the ground.
How long did it take?
It took me 2 years. By the time he got married and he had a child, the staircase was complete.
Okay. So, but the wedding gift did go even after the child was born.
No, it stayed on for years together.
Okay. How wonderful. Way back in your own life when you were married, you went through something very different where there was a lot of resistance from your own family when you married.
Well, because my family was Orthodox family. My wife is Jain and we were Hindu. But that didn't matter. So afterwards, now everybody's together.
No, I'm so glad. Now I think there's a lot of international integration in your family with a grandson who's German and everything.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's just so
yes.
wonderful. That's so wonderful. We all know about Aranya, the low-cost housing in Indore that won Mr. Doshi the Aga Khan Award. Let's look at it and appreciate how it was done differently. The community is comprised of over 6,500 people among 6 sectors, each of which features a range of housing options, from modest one-room units to spacious houses to accommodate a range of incomes. The houses are described as homes where a happy community lives. That is what finally matters. One of the key elements of Mr. Doshi's design was a hierarchy of open spaces that includes small courtyards to be shared by 3 to 4 families, larger green spaces for each of the settlements, 6 sectors, and a central playing field to serve the entire development. Open spaces and pedestrian pathways intersect and connect the clusters to the central spine. So I will just take 2 or 3 audience questions with you, sir, before we say goodbye. Give us just another 10 minutes, sir. That's all.
Okay, okay.
The one question which is being asked by Dinesh, he says, you have been facilitated with architecture's most illustrious award, along with many more awards. What does awards and recognition mean to a professional?
I think it's wonderful. People have been so nice and kind. I'm thankful to them for giving me the award.
But is it important that to be able to do well and to feel,
No,
you know?
I don't know. Whatever I have done, I did what I can, and they appreciated it. I think that's all. We don't have that intention to win award. No.
Okay. Manika asks you, what is this? Everybody talks about this sustainability and everything. Is it something to do with materials or is it something beyond that, sir?
I think you ask the person who raised the question, that are you sustaining without food or not?
Okay. Okay. So it's not just about what one is consuming.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. You have often mentioned that you relate the sky with the ground in all your work, Manika asks us.
Yes.
Tell us, what is this relation all about?
Why the sky and the ground? Are they, you think in the globe, earth movement, the sky and the earth is different or they are part of one?
Okay. Okay. So I hope, Manika, you get the answer there. Robin asks that what are the 3 things that you would want a young professional to keep in mind in his path of success, particularly in challenging times like now? 3 good pearls of wisdom, sir. 3 nuggets.
Compassion, honesty, and ability to sustain.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So I think we've had a fabulous dialogue with you. And,
thank you.
Thank you
and
so
all
much.
the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
really,
you.
really
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That was an incredible, engaging conversation with the icon, Mr. B.V. Doshi. There are so many takeaways, so much to learn from. At 93 years of age, he has kept the child in him so alive, so enthusiastic. There's a yearning to learn and grow every single day, appreciating the small things in life. Something to emulate and imbibe in our own lives. In these unprecedented times, like him, we all need to be able to appreciate the beautiful things around us and live in gratitude. Life may not be the same again as before. In fact, after listening to him, I think life will be better as we move ahead into the future. All we need to do is to embrace the change and accept it as part of life. I can't thank him enough to share his thoughts with us today. Also, a big thank you to the wonderful audience. And last but not the least, to Orientbell Tiles for creating this platform where we not only learn from the icons of creativity, but after each session, we are more energized to move ahead with greater conviction towards our path of success. A goodbye till we meet again on our next episode of Icons of Creativity. Thank you.